Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. Welcome to today's episode of Wisdom Talk Radio. This is where we get to explore the depths of conscious living and what it truly means to live an expanded life. So join us here to be inspired and encouraged and transformed and to feel a deeper sense of joy and possibility. So, what does masculinity mean to you? Do you know it when you see it? So I want to invite you today to listen in to what I anticipate will be one of the most fun times, fun experiences, fun episodes of exploring this particularly juicy topic. And again, welcome. I'm Laurie Seymour, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and CEO and founder of the Baca Institute, home of the Quantum Connection process. You can head over there to the Baca Institute to discover your unique connection with the essence of who you are by taking the Quantum Connection quiz. We're each designed to connect with Source differently, and knowing your own unique style really does help you to have that deeper connection with how you are going to create with the universe. It's both your superpower and your learning edge. Both of those things are important pieces. And when you have that, when you understand that more fully, you really have the secret to creating more of what you want in your life. Because who you are is exactly who is needed. So, my guest today, are you ready? My guest today is Scott Grace, who has made every mistake in the book when it comes to being a man. After all, his first role model was Tarzan. But in his latest book, Mindful Masculinity, a book for men and the women who love them, he strips away the misconceptions, embedded beliefs, and behaviors that simply no longer serve. And he does this using and these are his words, but I want to agree, his hilarious self-deprecating humor to show where he went wrong and brings to light the new ways that we can attract people rather than dominate them. I say we, he's talking about men, but this really goes across the board, or drives them away. And then how you get to live more with your own authenticity. So while these days Scott hangs his sombrero in Mexico, where he practices being semi-retired, semi-serious, and fully committed to transforming the world, one heart and mind at a time. Welcome, Scott. I am very much looking forward to our conversation today.
Thank you, Laurie.
So, okay. I know we're supposed to talk about masculinity, and we will. But my goodness, your life, you are a multi-act man for sure. And so I want to ask, who are you anyway? And we're going to talk about masculinity, but who are you and why did you feel compelled to write this book?
Oh, do you have 4 hours?
Sure.
Okay. So, who I am is a light bearer, a light seeker, and one who is learning to love himself. And I've been given a lot of gifts, and I've developed a lot of them. Some of them are latent. I haven't learned Spanish yet.
What's next?
And the book on masculinity it's been a calling for a long time. And like all callings, part of it is that I'm healing myself by answering the call.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that's always felt inadequate as a man. And in writing this book, or let's say downloading it,
Mm-hmm.
it's become much more clear to me that I have unique gifts, that I'm in a unique position to uh, to share what I've learned about being a man.
Mhm.
So the book healed me, and if it helps anyone else, that's icing on the cake.
Right. It's so interesting, and I'm glad to hear you say that, that we can say, oh, I'm doing this for the good of, fill in the blank, whatever it is. And yet, at heart, we have our own journey, and that's what we have. And if, as part of that journey, something we discover, something we share gets to help someone else, great. And it still comes back to it being our journey.
Yes. You know, I was fantasizing about you asking me a question. You may very well ask it, but I'm going to answer it now before you
Okay.
ask it.
What's that?
But just 5 minutes ago, I was thinking, I bet Lori's going to ask me what my definition of mindful masculinity is. And I was just, how we fantasize about what. So I was just fantasizing that mindful masculinity is when men or women really, because we all have masculine and feminine
Mhm.
energy, but when men make the shift from looking at the world and saying, what's in it for me, to looking at the world and saying, how can I serve?
Yes, yes.
And in some cases, serve and protect.
Hmm. Which
Many
is
men are
often
called.
to protect peace is often a uniquely masculine piece. Not that it's only relegated to men, but it is that masculine energy that extends out in order to protect.
Indeed, indeed. And since toxic masculinity is such a conversation stopper right now, or conversation starter, I would define toxic masculinity as it's when you use your masculine energy to try to grab, get, manipulate, or even, change somebody's will
Mm,
by using your own will.
yeah. It's interesting because one of the things that I noticed was that you really didn't use that, in my opinion, well overused phrase, toxic masculinity. Um,
In the
it,
book.
yeah, in the book, right? I don't know how you are in everyday life, but in the book, certainly. And I was very grateful for that because I find that phrase pretty horrible. It's so loaded with judgment, and nevertheless, that the judgment may be true, but we can frame it and we can speak about it in a very different way. Right? So your focus really is on how can we be truer in those parts of ourselves that we might call masculine? Would that be a fair way to say that?
Hmm. I'll stand behind that.
Okay. Okay.
I also would add that uh, i- i- masculine energy is here to serve, to protect, and to express in action love.
Mm, okay.
And
Keep going. That's
the
really
bo- the
important.
the book got its start because my publisher said, "Scott, I'm so tired of all this talk about toxic masculinity. I want to know about what the antidote is. I want to know what the opposite is. Can you write about that?"
Wow. Why did he ask
Yeah.
you?
He had read some of my previous books, and he just thought one of the books is called How to Evolve During the Trump Experience, Whether Humanity Joins You or Not.
Mhm.
And he read that and he said, you have a gift for appealing to a large variety of people and having compassion and empathy and entertaining them in the process. He said, can you apply that to masculinity?
Hmm. And you took on the challenge.
Yes. Of course, my first reaction, I think it's important for people to know, was no way. I have no biceps. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not equipped. Traditional masculinity is
Mhm.
where I came from.
Yeah. And in this expanded perspective, expanded definition, what would you say? not what would you say now to that question of will you write this, but how would you open that up for people to start to say, wait a minute, we've been having such a limited view of what that even means. And certainly, I think in this Trump era, this 2.0, we're seeing that exacerbated so much more. The old masculinity view, the old masculinity definition.
Hmm. Yeah.
So how would you open that door up and the non-bicep focused definition
I would
of
say
action?
masculine energy is strengthened and expressed by through courage. And traditionally, courage is on the battlefield, and men on the battlefield are facing death. You know, it's a great rites of passage into mature masculinity,
Mhm.
except it causes PTSD and all kinds of side effects like killing people. But to harness that energy of the warrior and have that energy take risks that expand you out of your comfort zone and
Mhm.
risks that will lead to a better earth, that's mindful masculinity.
Beautifully
That's where
put.
masculinity is headed. It's not that there won't always be men who are, want to be firemen and policemen, and of course, men express their masculine courage by going to the gym and pushing past their limits.
Mm.
That's always going to be a part of masculinity.
That's that very physical expression of that. And yet,
Exactly.
there's something more that we're needing. And I so appreciate that you mentioned about taking action because for me, I talk about receiving a lot and how do we receive as human beings. And that receiving is not passive. And that there's another component around receiving, which is moving out to take action, aligned action,
Mm,
action that has right
mm,
timing, action that we
mhm.
tune into and know that it is true. And you're bringing that out as perhaps that masculine way, that masculine aspect of ourselves. Maybe that's a way to say it.
Mhm. Yeah, in the book, I refer to it in also as yin and yang. Yin is and I have a judgment about the word passive. Like I try to, like toxic, I try to just not speak it
Okay, well,
because
let's see.
I like the word receptive.
Uh-huh.
Receptive,
Different.
yeah, it rings truer for me.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because in our culture, passive can be used as a negative word.
I actually mean it in a somewhat negative way because
Okay.
so I'm really making a distinction between being passive and being receptive. And that when we
Mm,
receive, if people think of that as like meditation. Oh, I just have to get quiet and it can be done in a very passive way or it can be done in a receptive way, which means we are present. We might take action. We might be there just simply in the quiet, but we're present and attentive. And to me, that's very different than what I think about and where I'm using that word passive.
I hear you. There's uh there's something beyond just relaxing, oh, I'm going to meditate and relax my
Right.
nervous system.
Right.
That cultivating and coming into presence is a whole other ball game,
It really is. It really is. And it's such an important distinction. I have people that come into because I'm a Tarea meditation teacher and I hold regular events live online. And I have people that come in and say, oh, I just want to feel the bliss. And that's fine. And there's also the capacity or the opening energetically to receive something new, to receive an answer to a question, to bring through new information, to feel that and connect with your own inner guidance. Oh, you've got a song, yay!
This is for all the bliss bunnies.
Oh, okay. Okay. So just let me just key
Oh,
you
yeah,
up,
go ahead.
which is we haven't said anything about the fact that this man that we have here today is a musician, lifelong musician. One of his, multi-act acts, and he's also known as the spiritual Dr. Seuss. So I'm delighted. Go for it, Scott. Whatever it is that's going to come forth.
And I wrote this with Carly Simon. She doesn't know it.
He doesn't know it, but that's
You
okay.
walk You walked into the Whole Foods like you were walking into a cloud. Your hair strategically shaved right off your head. Your aura so well endowed. You climbed aboard your astral plane as you laid your body down. And all your friends thought that you were enlightened. You were enlightened and you're so light. You probably think you don't have a shadow. You're so light. Bet you think you don't have a shadow, don't you? Don't you? Well, whenever you start feeling pain, you meditate till it's gone. And you stay away from energy drains like relatives or real jobs. You stay in bliss most of the time. And when you're not, it's hard paying the bills that aren't worth your attention, and you're so light. You probably think you're close to ascending. You're so light, so light. Bet you think you're close to ascending, don't you? Don't you? Now, there is more to that song, but we'll stop here in the
You
interest
got
of
it.
time. Management.
Thank you, Scott. Wow. Okay, we've got our song for our bliss bunnies. And I think it's even more than looking at or denying one's shadow. I think it's really about how we can receive guidance, but it also means taking action. So that's that masculine part of things too. That it's not just
Absolutely.
sitting back. It's what are we here to create? What is wanting to
Hmm.
be created through us?
Hmm. Yeah. And when you are truly in bliss or peace, there comes a time where you've had enough and you want to take action. You feel inspired to share your peace, your joy, your contentment. You can't just keep it to yourself. And that's what mindful masculinity, it's inspired action, not just pushing yourself to do something, summoning up the ego strength to break past your limits. Yeah, that's the old fashioned, old style masculine strength.
I love that. Inspired action, because I talk a lot about inspired action, and it's you're zoning in on the masculine aspect, and yet I'm sure you don't mean it just for men. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, Scott's face just went, "Of course not," or something like that.
I mean it for men, women, and those that defy all categories.
Yeah,
The non binary crowd is included.
absolutely. Because we have this life force in us that can be called different things too, and accessed in different ways.
And expresses always as yin and yang. There's always yin and yang in everything.
So you mentioned a few minutes ago something about you didn't say it quite like this, about serving and serving what I think of as serving the bigger picture. In your book, you also talk about serving more than the ego.
Hmm.
Would you speak about that some?
Sure. Well, The ego is our illusion of separation, the belief that we're this body and we need to go grab stuff to get what we want is the ego's definition of happiness. And paradoxically, when we break out of that bubble and start giving and serving the earth, we usually get what we want. Maybe not instantaneously, but we get what we want and more so. And that's what I think Jesus meant when he said, "Seek ye first the kingdom, and all of these things will be added."
Hmm. You come by your name truthfully. Grace. What a beautiful and graceful answer.
Hmm.
Thank you. Um, you also talk about something I'd love you to expand on in your book. You do expand on it in your book, but expand on it here about that there is a more masculine approach to being honest, and I'd love to have you talk about what you mean by that.
Sure. So again, masculine is not men. Masculine is the yang energy, the left side of the brain. So for masculinity, the approach to honesty is to go point blank directly to the present moment without a lot of story. In other words, I feel scared to say something. Lori, I feel scared to say this right now, and I'm feeling this tension in my belly, and my breath is short. And I want you to know that, and blah, blah, blah. So it's a very present moment experience without a lot of story. Oh, honey, you won't believe the day I had. It started when blah, 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 blah. You can tell a whole story, and then the person's lost. They're not interested much anymore. And then you actually get to the point, which is, I feel really terrible, and I could use a hug and a bubble bath.
Mhm.
So masculinity will go directly to the feeling and the request or the need rather than build up to it. That's my experience.
Okay. And yet in this culture, we're not tuned into the masculine life force, or at least the masculine old way of looking, being, and doing, has never been about sharing anything to do with feeling. So that's not honesty about self. It's more honesty, it feels like, about judgment and what needs to
Yeah,
happen and
yeah.
like that. It's
I'm
very
just
hard.
being I'm
I'm just
just
being
being
honest.
honest with you.
Yes.
Lori, I'm just being honest with you. You have a really lousy podcast, and here's what needs to change. So it's
Do
honesty
tell.
from the head.
Mhm.
So it's honesty about the story that I have about you.
Mm.
There's no vulnerability in it, and it's usually not very helpful. So before we can teach men this kind of honesty, we have to like get them to learn the difference between the head and the heart and learn the language of vulnerability, which
Mm.
is present moment feelings and needs.
So I know beyond the fact that you are an author, because you've written several other books besides this one, and a musician, a singer, a song creator, you are also a coach. I mean, I'm not sure if you use that word, but you work with people
Hmm.
to bring them forward.
Mm,
Can you
mm.
say something about that? Because that feels
I,
like a
I
whole other piece of you.
I love what you said. I work with people to bring them forward. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with the word coach. It is a buzzword today, so I use it. But more, I just tune into people. I ask my guidance what their guidance, in a sense, wants me to tell them. And I get out of the way and I create safety and trust and download messages from the universe. And then feelings generally come up. People have feelings about what I say. And then we use the emotional freedom technique, tapping, to help them through the feelings. And then uh, again, download is the current buzzword. I receive a song
Mhm.
and I, in a sense, help them move forward by the song and the tapping, which is recorded. And that, yeah, that's kind of what I do in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. And I'm imagining that that song has energy frequencies encoded in it, whether that's
Mm,
something you even have thought about or considered.
mhm.
And yet, yeah, because sound is all about frequency, it's all about vibration. And I'm
Oh yeah.
suspecting that there's a lot that happens in that dynamic that
Oh yeah.
that maybe, I mean, maybe that's something you're very familiar with and comfortable with and know about. And it feels like something I want to underline.
Sure. Music can be medicine.
Hmm.
It can be a doorway out of the head and into the heart.
Yeah.
That's what I aspire to when I sing for people.
Hmm. I'd love to invite you to do a song for our audience. And I want to ask you about a particular song that was in your book, um,
Okay.
because it was about struggle. It was one of your spiritual Dr. Seuss songs about struggle. And a moment of backstory for me is that I grew up with a mother who only knew struggle and was so focused on struggle. And so I thought that's what life was about struggle. And it's taken
Yeah.
me years. I mean, I'm beyond all of that. And I, there's still that, oh yeah, I resonate with that experience of life as struggle.
Yeah.
So how does that especially relate to men? Even though for me, it was me with my mother.
It doesn't relate to just man,
Mhm.
but it is, struggle is the masculinity inside of us working overtime, trying too hard, not working smarter, but working harder, working without the teamwork of the universe that is here to support us.
Ooh, that's it. And you just hit on something that just connects something that I hadn't quite connected. Um,
Hmm.
because it's that they're not knowing about receiving.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
not knowing about receiving. So
Hmm.
what you just said so beautifully really brings that to home. It's that masculinity on steroids without
Yes.
any kind of wait, what if I don't just struggle? So for me, my focus for years was around how, how do I learn how to receive? How do I soften? How do I come into the place? And I had to do this because for me to receive my own inner guidance, I had to learn how to receive.
Yeah. Yeah, that really touches me, and I can sense that your nervous system has gotten the message
Mhm,
and you're living it.
mhm.
There's a there's a part in the poem. You called it a song. It's really more of a poem. I don't use
Okay.
the guitar,
Yeah.
but when I finished it, I read it to a bunch of my friends, and the feedback I got was, "It's really great, Scott, but I feel bad about myself because I'm still struggling, and you're making struggle sound like an unevolved thing that I should get over."
Oops.
So I went back to the drawing board and I added the final touch here, which is, I have one final message and then I will go. You can't give up struggle completely, you know. There are rites of passages, powerful rites, where struggle is part of you birthing more life. I tried reading this poem to a woman in labor. She said, "Out of my face and don't do me no favors." Our struggles are sometimes endearingly human. They spice up our life like fresh garlic or cumin. So next time you struggle, please don't self attack. Don't struggle with struggle. Let's cut you some slack. Because when you are kind to yourself, in your struggles. The kindness alone brings relief on the double.
Just breathing that in, the kindness itself. And can't we all of us use just a little more kindness towards ourselves at any moment in time where that critic, the judger, that part of us that wants us to be other than who we are. Mm. So you're reaching for your guitar again. We couldn't hear your guitar before, at least I couldn't.
The musician sound is on. You are on Zoom. Look and turn the original sound from musician's thing on.
I
That
don't know
should
about that.
that should do the truck. It's up there. Just kind of scroll next to the recording, between the recording sign and the view sign, the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
Well,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, the words I wanted to sing it of a song are: there's a judge inside who's sometimes strong, convinced I'm doing my whole life wrong, so quick to rise up to my prosecution. But as I grow, it's getting clear the judge is just a voice of fear, and gentleness, my only real solution. For how can a child of God feel safe if I'm trying to whip myself in shape? There must be another way to grow. Petals of my heart open in a loving self environment. A flower grows and blooms when it's given the room. So handle yourself with care. There's a precious child of God in there. Handle yourself with care. There's a precious child of God in there. Oh,
thank you, Scott.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know what that reminds me of? Mother Teresa said her religion was kindness. And after she died, somebody found her journals, and it was filled with berating, verbal abuse towards herself. She, part of her religious training, I guess, really made her very, very critical of herself. So I would add, my religion is kindness, including myself.
Especially myself to
Yeah, I
start
was going to
with.
say that. I was I, I was afraid that some people might interpret that as narcissism,
Well,
but I
okay, I
want to
don't.
I wanted to
And it's
say
my show.
especially. It's my show and I'll be kind if I want to.
And especially to ourselves, because if we're not, we can't beat anybody else. It's there's no truth in that. There's no truth in it. And I know that I listen to my tone. I listen to the tone I use when I'm thinking inside. Listen to the tone that I use with myself. And I listen to the tone that I use with others. And I can hear when kindness is not present, left the stage. And it's like, oh, okay, let me take a breath because for a moment I have forgotten who I am. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything more than that simple reminder and the taking of a breath that connects us with it all.
Mm,
It's, I'm big on there's really nothing that needs to be fixed,
mm,
just remembered.
mm.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll have what she's having, universe.
Well, Scott, can you tell people how to find you? How certainly how to get your book, but that's, people know
Hmm.
really how to get books. But
Hmm.
how do they find you for other things?
Well, the first step would be going to my website, scottsongs.com. SCOTTSONGS.com. And as you scroll down the homepage, you can subscribe to my very occasional newsletters. And as you keep going down, you'll see pictures of my books. And you can just click on them and they'll take you to the Amazon page. And we can together further enrich Jeff Bezos.
Ah, oh, goody.
I know. Sometimes I act against my values just because it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gotta
there's
gotta
something
get the
about
work out
Eve.
there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also that will be on the show notes or in the show notes. You
Hmm.
also have a free gift of your 5 funniest songs. That there's a
Hmm.
link to that that will also be in the show notes. So why not go get them?
Hmm.
You might laugh too much, but so what?
Hmm.
Anything else that you feel moved to end with today?
Hmm. Well, there is a very old-fashioned masculine person in the Oval Office of my country of origin right now, and it's stirring up the pot and bringing up everyone's unresolved pain. And I just want to say it's my experience that the darkest hour is just before the dawn, and that the rapid evolution of human consciousness is at hand. And this, paradoxically, is part of the jumpstart that we're receiving right now from the universe. We've elected a man who represents, he's a collective, he's an embodiment of the shadow of masculinity, the pain of masculinity being acted out. And that's going to move us forward faster than anything else right now. I believe that everything happens for our highest good, not just personally, but even collectively. So I just want to invite people to take heart and don't lose your courage and don't lose your candle. When you are cursing the darkness, you are in danger of losing the light that you are here to represent. So don't spend too much time on the media or criticizing what you don't like about the politics because you're here to be a stand for what you want, not focus your energy on, I can't stand the president. It's like, we know what you can't stand. We want to hear what you stand for.
Yes. Yes. And truthfully, Scott, thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. And that's what you have done with this book, with mindful masculinity, is instead of cursing the darkness, instead of cursing the what we see as masculinity, what we've seen for lifetimes, you are bringing that light to bear, and I want to thank you.
Thank you, Lori. I received that. And I just gave you a little preview of the book that I'm currently working on now, which the working title is Beyond Red and Blue, keeping your heart open in divided times.
Mm, okay. And, I think people have gotten a little glimmer of my upcoming book.
Which is,
Well, it's right now. It seems to be the title seems to be morphing. I mean, it's coming out in the next couple of months, and it's been one title for the entire time of writing it, and it feels like it might be shifting to being the blessing, an
mm,
invitation to remember.
mm. It sounds like a modern day version of what Gandhi was quoted as saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm,
I'm happy for you that you're
thank you.
getting to be the blessing and channel that work.
Yeah. And it's the fact that we all can get to be that blessing because it's where we came from and it's what we are.
Mm.
So thank you, Scott Grace. And I want to thank our audience too for being with us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. Join us here regularly for more wisdom, discovery, and illumination. And if you've liked this episode today, if you've enjoyed listening, please do leave us a review because when you do that, you get to show other people what's possible. And you get to, in a sense, to share this transformative energy that is here. And for more for you about connecting with your own inner guidance system, your own wisdom, go to the Baca Institute and take the Quantum Connection quiz today. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.